The longest time, Iron Twins has been kind of a forgotten element of Raid, but with the new soul-based events, it is coming back into play. With the last big update, they've added in these new events and tournaments that are based around collecting souls. We have Soul Chase, assuming there's going to be a Soul Rush moving forward. The rewards that are in these between Sacreds and Legendary books are pretty impressive. Now, because of that, we're having to go back and reevaluate how we handle Iron Twins, which is where tonight's Unkillable Iron Twins Stage 15 team comes into play. First, though, make sure you subscribe here at YouTube. That way you never miss when a raid video goes live or any of the other content I have here. Make sure you subscribe. It's free. It's easy. You just got to hit a button, and trust me, it does make a big difference here on the channel. So these new events with the souls do give out some fantastic rewards, and the easiest way to come up with the souls that you have is through the dungeon event Iron Twins. If you work your way down towards stage 15 in these things, you can earn your Eternal Essence, your Immortal Essence. You can get some of the Mortal Soul Coins that you can trade in for, you can exchange all this stuff in for Soul Stones, which is what you're going to use towards those events. Now, I'm good with these events specifically because it's a gambling factor in the game. Math is everything in raids. So when there's a little component to pack luck and that kind of a thing, I embrace it. It's like pulling shards. What am I going to get? It's the same kind of thing, but it has to do with the Soul Stones. We did it live on Twitch for this very first event, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm going to keep doing it. Now, the problem with Iron Twins, which everyone is hoping will get resolved eventually, is it's the only thing in the game that requires keys and energy. It should be either or, and most of us would prefer it to be keys. It takes a lot of energy every day. It's basically a full refill, 120 stamina, 100, a full energy refill to do 6 keys here at the top 3 tiers of Iron Twins. So with that, hopefully they'll fix that down the road. But right now, it is worth a full energy refill just for these Soul Stones as we continue to go through, as long as the events give out rewards as good as they are. So we're going to take a look at 15. The team that we have set up here was really difficult to build, but once we figured out why it was so difficult to build, it got much easier. So we're going to take a look at this. This is what I have. This is what I am running for this thing. It is Helicath, is going to be your block damage champion, and then there are 3 Painkeepers with their A3 Combat Tactics, decreases the cooldown of all ally skills by 1 turn. That is what does it. So basically the speed of Helicath, along with those 3 Painkeepers, keeping them in order, it allows you to have block damage on no matter what. Then Geomancer, or whoever you put in here as your damage dealer, stays alive throughout the whole thing and just continues to knock away at the Iron Twins. So before we take a look at the speeds on this, I need to explain what the problem for a lot of people is when you build this team. And it comes down to the passive retaliatory launch. No, it is... Where is it? Retaliatory launch. Okay, so fills the Iron Twins turn meter by 10% whenever an enemy receives a buff. Will not fill their turn meter if the Iron Twins are under decreased speed debuffs. So understanding that the debuffs are incredibly important, it does throw off all of the timing. That's where people go off the rails trying to build these teams. And when I was trying to set this up, we were doing it live on Twitch. Nowhere did we see anything about what you remove and how you handle this. You can't have any kind of shields on anybody. You do not want any additional buffs that you've got. Geomancer works with these timings because he's not laying any buffs on the full team. Helicath A2 is turned off because the A2 puts on a shield, and that's going to screw your timing up with the way everything else works. So if you're going to swap out Geomancer, make sure you're bringing in a damage dealer that doesn't buff the team. No blood shield rings, no shields on anyone. It's just straightforward, and you just need to hit your timing. So Helicath, it's all default except his A2 is turned off, and his speed is at 280. No other stat means anything, just speed at 280. Geomancer 209, you can push that up a little bit. 210 I think will be fine. I don't know, 211 you may be pushing it, but 209 works for all this. I've got his A2 turned off because it doesn't bring anything to this. It doesn't help me at all. I only want his Quicksand Grasp, laying down HP burn and weaken, and his A1 there. The main thing is the HP burn so that the Stone Guard passive kicks in and we're reflecting damage back on the Iron Twins. And to make sure that that is hitting, Geomancer needs 550 accuracy. Now that's a major amount of accuracy to have. So if you're using Geomancer, that's where you have to have it, 550. If you're putting in anybody else and they're just straight up dealing damage onto the Iron Twins, then accuracy probably is not going to be a factor. But for Geomancer, it is, and it is a minimum of 550. Speed doesn't change though. The other thing is if you're swapping out Geomancer to another damage dealer, make sure it's a damage dealer with straight speed. You don't want anybody like Ninja whose skills actually throw off his timing because they add turn meter control to his own rate of speed. You can't do anybody that brings anything like that. So no buffs, no turn meter bump out of your damage dealer. Now the Painkeepers all have the same priorities. It is A3 first priority, A2 second priority. The only difference is whoever you have first open with the A2, and then your second and third are going to open with the A3. All three of these are running 215 speed. I've been told that you can adjust that a little bit and they can all go, one or two in the other direction. So you can do 213, 214, 215. I have not tested it. I only tested it with 215 across the board for all three. I have one of these at 60 and the other two at 30. The one at 60 is only at 60 because he was in a Bat Eater build. You can do all three at 30. It doesn't require anything more than fully booking his A3. That is it. Fully booking Painkeepers A3 so that turn down hits every 4 turns is the important part. It does not work if you don't have him fully booked, but they're rares. Rare books. If you've got 3 Painkeepers, you probably have enough rare books to be able to book them all the way out. Helicath as well has to be completely booked for the 2 skills that you're using. The A3 specifically has to be fully booked. If you have A2 turned off, it doesn't matter. And there's no difference on his A1. So that A3 has to be fully booked. If you've got Helicath and you've had him this long, he's probably already booked anyway. Now that's the setup. That is the timing. And this is how it runs. We're actually going to do this for the very first time because we just built this week and I haven't on Force yet. We haven't actually completed 15. So we're going to actually get a good soulstone with this run through. Now, if you'll watch, if there were buffs on here, this is what gave us all the problems in the beginning because not having the A2 on Helicath turned off and those shields caused some problems. Had blood shield ring on one of the Painkeepers. That caused problems. It was just this little bitty issue with an additional buff here and there that threw everything off. Now, this is completely affinity friendly. Doesn't matter which affinity you're going to use it against. It does work across the board. And for Geomancer, when he's in, as long as his accuracy is high enough, at least 550, and he's able to put that HP burn on the Iron Twin, once that HP burn is there, you get all that reflected damage back on him when he hits. So like right now we have weaken and HP burn. When he puts damage down on Geo, when he hits everybody, you're going to see a major jump in damage that goes back onto the Iron Twin. So right there, 147,000 on that hit. It's just reflected damage. The quickest any of these things have run is about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I think. And I think some of that has to do with Helicath actually has Brimstone is his blessing. So if he can stick the Brimstone on there once or twice during the course of this, that Brimstone does help as well when it hits, when he goes with his default skill. I think the longest any of these have taken is just shy of 4 minutes. It does going to come down to which affinity we're attacking, where we're at. This one could actually go on the long side with force. It depends. I haven't seen Brimstone stick, but that's because this is Force Iron Twin, and we have a Spirit with Helicath. Is that why? That's why the Brimstone is not sticking. Regardless, though, as long as you have all that timing correct, as this lines up, you see that those block damage buffs stay on everyone. And as long as everybody is always under block damage, you're going to be fine. Now, there are alternatives to Helicath for this as well. You can use the tower. Timing changes, though. If you've got the tower, it's definitely going to change it. It's going to Helicath is going to drop from 280. The tower, I think, runs at 252. That's an established team that there's a couple of videos out there for it. It does change everything else, though. Demi is possible, but there's big changes to the speeds on Demi, and I have not tried to work that out yet. And it's because Demi is a one-turn cooldown on the, or she's not a one-turn cooldown. It is a one-turn block damage instead of 2, but it's a 3-turn cooldown instead of 4. So there's a completely different set of timings if that's the only block damage champ you have. And if anybody figures that out and they want to put it in the comments, feel free. But again, with Helicath, who was a free fusion champ, this is 100% affinity friendly, works throughout for all of this. As long as you have 3 Painkeepers fully booked and you set their speeds up and you have Helicath and a damage dealer at 209, you are going to be golden for this. Now all we have to do is convince Plarium to get rid of the energy here and just let us use our 6 keys to get through it. If that helped, if that information helped you, make sure you subscribe. Seriously, it's free. It's not a big deal, but it does make a difference. It is a big deal to the channel. Thank you. I'm finally He Sleeps. As long as you guys keep watching, I'll keep making videos.